Hello and welcome back to another fun-filled edition of the Viva Film Podcast. I'm your host Caleb, and I'm joined today by the indubitable Anthony. Anthony, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay, Caleb. I'm doing all right. I'm getting over a little bit of a cold, a little bit of a sickness. I spent the last week or so in bed with a fever, but other than that, I'm doing good. Watched some movies today, and now I'm ready to talk about some Star Trek.
Hell yeah, that's what I like to hear. And also I've got to say is things were getting pretty. There was a very goofy vibe happening before we started recording today. Things were just getting a little silly. Sending each other pictures of Garfield merchandise, sending each other pictures of Garfield merchandise and stuff like that. Do you think that will carry into the episode?
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope that we talk about some Garfield merchandise, maybe some Garfield, crossovers with Star Trek. Yeah. Do you think that Garfield the cat would be a good captain aboard the Enterprise?
No, I think he would give them all kills.
He would just ask the replicator to make lasagna over and over again.
Yeah, and then there'd be an episode where the lasagna becomes sentient and starts eating the ship.
Ooh, we got this going, man. We're rolling. I mean, this episode is writing itself.
Yeah, exactly. And Worf can be there.
Worf, who will be played by Odie, because obviously Garfield's owner, who's Jim, right?
John.
John would be Spock, obviously.
Oh,
and then Odie would be Worf. So, and I know there's some crossover there between TNG and TOS. Doesn't matter because none of this is real. It's all make believe. It's all fake.
It's
it's fictional characters.
Yeah, but there's probably some sort of Garfield strip over the years that mentions Star Trek in some capacity.
I mean, there has to be, right? It's probably been done before, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, if not now, at the time you're listening to this, even if it's 10 years from now, it could have just happened.
Maybe it's happening right now as we speak.
Oh, maybe this podcast will get sent out. Its signal will travel into space, and then people will really like it. And then when we stop doing the podcast one day, they'll be like, "Why did the podcast stop?" And then they'll come to Earth and try to destroy it because they like the podcast so much. The last 2 weeks were really interesting because you have the first week episode of this we were doing where we have 2 really great films. You have the last episode we did where we have a pretty kind of whatever film and then a really solid fun film. And this week we have one of the best Star Trek movies, and we have one of the worst Star Trek movies, but also one of the funniest.
Yes, I agree. It is definitely one of the funniest, specifically for one line towards the end that I do actually really like quite a bit, even if the rest of this film is pretty fucking abysmal.
Yeah. That's the thing too is at least with this one though it should be kind of fun to talk about. It's not it's not super boring or lame. It's just kind of weirdly written and odd.
Yeah, it's weirdly written. It does that strange thing where it's oh, the long lost brother that we never talk about decided to show up,
Yeah,
which is always
one of the best tropes.
Yeah, it's always a really cheap, lazy trope that you see, especially in soap operas. It's very soap opera-y, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, obviously this week we're talking about Star Trek, The Final Frontier, and Star Trek, The Undiscovered Country. And this is it. This is the end of the TOS era, really, because the show's over, the movies are done, and by the time that these films come out, TNG is already on the air.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it is pretty interesting seeing these films and kind of remembering within the context of when they came out, and kind of what they symbolize in the greater Star Trek canon, I guess.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's also interesting because Gene Roddenberry passed away right before Undiscovered Country came out.
Mm-hmm.
So like in a lot of ways, this is like the end of an era for like the original, all of the original stuff for Star Trek, like the TOS cast. Gene Roddenberry's passed away. TNG has been on the air for like 4 years or something like that by the time the Undiscovered Country comes out. So then it's like, you know, you do move more into the Rick Berman era, where you get like Deep Space Nine and Voyager, and then into Enterprise, and then with the TNG cast movies, which we will start talking about in the next episode.
Yeah, exactly. Really interesting time. Really interesting time in the history of Star Trek, like late 80s, early 90s. Some would say that this is like the beginning of like the second golden age of the Star Trek, you know, franchise. Because like that first golden age was like the 1960s with the original series. And then we're in kind of like a new revived era. And still to this day, people debate which is better, TOS era or TNG era. Nobody, you know, I think there's valid arguments on both sides.
Yeah, and you don't really hear people go, oh no, it's the Kelvin timeline, that's the best.
Well, I mean, there's only 3 Kelvin movies, so...
That's true.
Yeah. They didn't have a lot of time to really flesh out their stuff, but we'll talk more about Kelvin later. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but should we jump into the first film we're talking about today?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, the first film we're talking about today is Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, directed by good old Willie Shatman himself. Written by David Lowery, story by Harv Bennett and William Shatner, based on Star Trek, created by Gene Roddenberry. Cinematography by Andrew Laszlo, edited by Peter Berger, and starring William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelley, James Doohan, Walter Koenig, Nichelle Nichols, George Takei, David Warner, Lawrence Luckinbill, Charles Cooper, Spice Williams Crosby, Rex Holman, George Murdoch, and Bill Quinn. And the synopsis is, what does God need with a starship? Caleb, do you believe in God?
No.
If God existed, do you think that he would need a starship?
Probably not.
No?
No, I don't think so. It's not logical, Captain.
So what the hell is going on here?
We meet Spock's long-lost brother. And he is on a journey to find the like secret like, you know, the center of the universe, where he believes God is speaking to him and is inviting him to like come get him so he can like, you know, he can have infinite knowledge and like learn about all the, you know, God stuff and everything. And it's like, I guess this is like based in like religion in like the Vulcan society, where it's like they believe that this place like where like life sprang from is, I don't remember what it's called. And they kind of talk about how like the Klingons call it something, and like, you know, everyone calls it something, you know, they have their own idea of like heaven or Eden. And so he ends up convinced, and he's also like gaining these powers where he can like take away people's pain. And that's actually like the most interesting element of the movie, is like when he does that with Bones. Like that's a really fascinating scene. And then they end up going to the center of the universe and they find God, quote unquote, but it's really just this like kind of powerful entity or creature that's consciousness is trying to escape the planet it's been locked in. So it wants to like get on a starship and leave. And they're like, wait, well, if you're a god, you wouldn't need a starship. What's going on? And then hilarity ensues. So that's essentially what's going on with this film. And it's very weird and lame. Like I've watched it before, but when I was rewatching it, I was really caught by, or like the first scene in this movie, you know it's going to be bad. And just from a screenwriting perspective, because, you know, they're on this planet and Spock's brother is wearing a hood, so you can't really see him, and he's trying to help this guy. And he like, you know, is trying to recruit him, take his pain away, and he takes off his hood and you see his like pointy ears, you know, and because film is a visual medium, you're watching the movie and you go, oh, he's a Vulcan. Okay, cool. But then the guy has to look at him and go, oh, you're a Vulcan. And the second that happens is when you know you're in for a bad film. That there's going to be lots of dumb stuff like that where they don't trust you as an audience member to like understand what they're saying. Like even if you didn't know what a Vulcan was, and this is like the first Star Trek thing you've ever watched, you'd be able to piece together, oh, he's like an alien of some kind. And then when you see Spock and they're talking about Vulcan, I think you could put that together. That he's the same species. I don't know. That just annoyed the hell out of me when I watched it the other day.
Yeah, it's giving you information you already have. Like we as the audience can see, like, okay, yeah, he's a Vulcan. We don't need the other character to, confirm that for us, right? It'd be like if you saw a character get shot and then someone else exclaims, "Oh my God, he's shot!" It's like, well, yeah, we just saw him get shot. We don't need you to tell us.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like it's a very strange decision, and it's kind of the problem with this film. And also, it's one of the biggest elements of this film that I think impacts its quality is that William Shatner is directing it, because I guess he got jealous of Leonard Nimoy for directing two of them. So now he's got to do it, and I think this is the only film, or only like proper like feature film he directed.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that this is a well-directed film?
I think it's a very so I don't think it's like amazingly directed. But I mean, like, everything's there. I don't know. It doesn't. I don't think it's badly directed. I think it's boring. I think it's a boringly directed film.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really remember any shots or any like scenes that really stand out to me. Even scenes where, like where Captain Kirk is climbing a mountain, or where they're rocketing up and like an empty elevator shaft. It's just like so many of these scenes that just come off as like, I don't know, just really like basic and uninspired.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. It is probably, out of all of the Star Trek films, it is probably the least interesting visually. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I really don't like it. It's just like, I don't remember anything about this fucking movie.
Yeah, what's funny is because I was thinking, I texted you after I watched it, and I was like, man, I can't believe I'm excited to talk about this, but like, it's been a couple days now, and like, yeah, like it's kind of hard to actually remember some of the finer details. Like,
I remember the sexy dance that Uhura does.
Yeah, apparently that was like only in the script because of an offhanded joke one of the writers made.
Yeah, I remember reading about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of weird stuff like that in these next, even in Undiscovered Country, there's some stuff like that's kind of like that, or that's kind of like weird related to the writing process. But like, one thing that this film does too is it establishes a lot of like side villains and characters that we don't really get much to do with. Like they're just kind of like there, but we don't like learn anything about them. Like all the characters on that like desert planet and like the bar, like I feel like we don't spend enough time with them, but we do get like a cat woman with 3 breasts who's dancing around.
Yeah, and the scene at the bar is really quite something, because it's very clearly supposed to like be alluding to Mos Eisley from Star Wars.
Yeah,
this is supposed to be like their version of it, and it just comes off as like not very good, and you have like these kind of really uninspired alien designs, including a Catwoman with 3 breasts. And then we get introduced to these 3 characters, one of whom is a human, the other is Klingon, and the other is Romulan. And I have issues with this because the one who's Romulan does not come off as Romulan at all.
I literally forgot he was Romulan until you just said that.
Well, it's a woman.
Oh, so she.
Yeah,
that was my bad.
Yeah, she's supposed to be Romulan, but she does not act like any Romulan I've ever seen in Star Trek.
Yeah,
she doesn't act like a Romulan. She doesn't dress like a Romulan. The only way she even looks like a Romulan is that she has the pointy ears. But yeah, a lot of these characters at the bar, like everything with the bar and everything on the desert planet, just feels very superfluous, and it feels like it feels like there's a bunch of first drafts of different screenplays that are all just like smushed together, and they've never been properly like polished or really edited down into something that is actually interesting, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels like a first draft. Like, it's like this got turned in, and then everyone just went, "Oh, cool, great, thanks for the script," and no one went, "Wait, let's look over this and fix the parts that don't work."
Yeah, maybe they rushed it in. I don't know. I didn't look too much into the making of this, but it definitely feels very rushed for sure.
Yeah, and then like in the whole like bringing the God element into it, like I don't even think that's a bad idea, but I feel like you could go a more interesting route than just having it be like, what does God want with a starship? And then the God character shoots lightning out of its eyes at William Shatner.
Yeah, it turns into Palpatine or Darth Sidious.
Yeah, it's like really fun. That is the thing about this film is like, I know that like, you know, the later Star Trek movies, or specifically the 2009 one, like it gets compared to Star Wars all the time, and that's completely fucking fair. But this movie, it really is going for a lot of those like weird like little Star Wars connections where it's like, oh well, the Emperor shot lightning, so we gotta have someone get shot with lightning, or like, oh well, we gotta have an alien bar where, you know, we gotta have a Catwoman with 3 breasts. She's gotta have 3 of them. And it's just I don't know, it just doesn't work as a film, unfortunately. And it's one of those where like you know, George Takei, there's always a story in all of these movies that one of, if not all of the actors don't want to come back.
Yeah.
And in this one, George Takei was like, I do not want to be directed by William Shatner. And apparently Shatner, and this also explains why, because George Takei is just not in it a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
But also Shatner apparently like requested that they like wait, am I getting this confused with this? I was reading all the facts about this one. I think I'm getting this there's one of these 2 movies where Shatner specifically took away like he used creative control or something, like to take away like an element where like George Takei was like, Sulu was supposed to find something out, and like Kirk finds out instead.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, so I think it's in the 6th one, actually. I think I might be messing that up. But either way, like George Takei didn't want to be directed by him, and like I wouldn't want to be directed by William Shatner either. That sounds awful. But it also sounds hilarious. And like there just isn't much to this film other than him saying, "What would God want with a starship?" which is like hilarious.
Right.
And other than that, you're just kind of like weird lore that like Spock has like a secret brother that he was raised with, but that he wanted to be so emotional all the time and didn't like Vulcan. And it's just like, and that's an interesting idea for a character, but like you can't, like, why does it have to be Spock's brother? Like, what is that even, like, it does nothing for the story, like them being brothers.
Yeah, it really does nothing for the story. He could have just been like another Vulcan that maybe Spock is like aware of, like, oh yes, I remember you, you're such and such Vulcan, and you know, we you know, got rid of you or whatever, or you know, exiled you. It doesn't add anything to it, making him his brother, you know. So yeah, that's strange. What do you think about the scene in Yosemite where William Shatner is climbing a rock?
I mean, Tom Cruise obviously liked that scene because he does it in Mission Impossible too. But I just thought it was kind of like, and this is the problem that I have, is like it feels like William Shatner, like, you know, trying to suck his own dick, trying to be like, look, I'm not old. Don't see, look, guys, I can climb. And it's like, I'm not saying Kirk wouldn't do that, but it's just kind of goofy. And then you have like the scene where like Spock uses these weird like air powered rocket boots to fly up and talk to him. And in general, they love doing the whole like singing the that old song, like, you know, row your boat. That's like the through line of the movie at the beginning.
Yeah,
it's referenced near the climax, and then it's at the end of the movie. And it's really funny because, first of all, one thing that would have immediately made this movie better, if we're talking about old novelty songs, One-Eyed One-Horned Flying Purple Peter Eater, Purple People Eater, Jesus fucking Christ, Purple People Eater, clears. That's a much better choice. And I would have given this like half an extra star if they had gone with that instead. But it's meant to symbolize like their friendship between like Spock, Kirk, and Bones, who sometimes feel like the only characters in these films.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think it just kind of feels like empty in a weird way. Like I feel like Wrath of Khan, in just the scene where Bones brings Kirk like his birthday present, there's so much more like it's so much more well written, where it's like these are friends, as opposed to like, oh, they're hiking for no reason and they're just kind of camping and singing songs. It doesn't feel like, and I know it's established to like make them feel more like friends, but it doesn't. I don't know. I just found it kind of. I've always found it very insincere. Unfortunately, like even when I first watched it, I remember I immediately just like felt like tuning out like 4 years ago when I watched it for the first time.
Yeah, a lot of it feels very hollow, I guess, and I think that's kind of that's a lot of this film just feels kind of hollow, and it's in kind of a weird spot because, you know, at the beginning of the franchise, you have Star Trek: The Motion Picture, which is like this, you know, kind of groundbreaking, like slow science fiction film. And then at the end, you have Undiscovered Country, which is a fantastic finale. And then you have like this kind of trilogy in the middle with Khan and Spock and Voyage Home. And then you have this movie. And this movie doesn't really have anything. There's not really, it's not a part of any overarching story. It's not particularly very important in the TOS film, you know, series. It's just kind of there, you know. It's almost kind of like a filler episode.
Yeah, no, it really is. Like it's like the episode of Next Generation where like Beverly falls in love with like a Scottish ghost, where you
now listen here, okay?
No,
Sub Rosa is hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, it's better than this movie.
I would much rather watch Sub Rosa over this film any day. Absolutely. And not just because Gates McFadden is hot. I love that. I love the scene in that episode where the old man from the village comes onto the Enterprise and starts ripping cords out of the wall.
Oh yeah.
What are you doing here?
Just thinking about that.
I don't know, like that scene and What Does God Need with a Starship? Like, which is funnier? I'm gonna give it to Sub Rosa. I am saying it here first, folks. Star Trek: The Next Generation, Sub Rosa is better than The Final Frontier.
No, yeah, I think most of, if not all of, Next Generation is better than Final Frontier.
Well, there's a few Troy episodes that are pretty bad, but
oh Jesus Christ! Actually, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never mind. I take back what I said. But like, I know this film because it feels like a filler episode, but the problem is it's a movie, so it's like it's just like this kind of nothingness. Like, can you imagine in 1989, you know, a year that featured lots of great like franchise movies, like, you know, Batman and like The Last Crusade, and then you go see, you know, Final Frontier in theaters, and you're just like, oh,
I guess this is it. This is the end of movies, guys. Pack it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's a shame because like I wish I had more to say about this movie, or like more funny stuff to say, or insightful stuff about why it's bad. But sometimes something is just bad, and it's hard to even explain why, other than it feels uninspired and rushed and not well thought out, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. I saw this movie once when I was doing my initial watch through of the TOS films, and I saw it for this episode that we're recording now, and I'll probably never watch it again.
Wow.
Like, there's not, like, again, there's nothing about this movie to draw me back to it, you know? Like, yeah, it's just, except for that one scene where what does God need with the starship? But even then, that one, like, the only reason that that's funny is because we've had an entire hour and a half before it building up to it, and just to get to the end where it's like, really, Kirk is the one who sees what's wrong with everything here? Like, he's the one who figured it out, nobody else did?
Yeah, it's like it's also one of those things where you think about it where it's like it's the problem with William Shatner directing this, and just with Kirk as a character sometimes, is like this is about Spock and this is Spock's half brother. So why is Kirk the person who sees through his bullshit at the end?
Yeah, it should have been Spock. Spock should have been the one. And he kind of does. Like, there's that scene where Cybok tries to do the whole thing where he's like, it's like, oh, you're so sad, aren't you, Spock? And Spock is like, no, not really. Like, I've already dealt with that shit. I'm good.
Yeah.
So you do get a little bit of that. But yeah, overall, this film is not very good. It's not very memorable. At the end of the movie, they go back to El Capitan and they're camping and they sing "Row, row, row your boat" again, and then the movie's done, I guess. So
yeah, do you like the callback when Kirk dramatically says "Life is but a dream"?
I don't even remember that. When does that happen?
It's like right before they go onto the center of the universe, like with that planet.
See, here's the thing, right? Because in the next film we're talking about, there's callbacks to like Shakespeare.
Oh yeah.
And in this movie, we're talking about row, row, row your boat. Like that's.
Well, yeah, it's like it's the difference between this film written by
it's the difference between Nicholas Meyer and William Shatner.
Yeah. Yeah, no, because again, Nicholas Meyer, because is he like an Oscar-winning screenwriter?
I know he's been nominated.
Because I know for The Day After, he was definitely nominated for that.
He might have. Hold on a second. Let me very quickly look this up. Oscar. Yes, he won Best Adapted Screenplay in 1977.
Wow.
For The 7% Solution, which was an adaptation of a book that he wrote.
Oh, so he wasn't nominated for The Day After?
He might have been nominated.
Yeah.
Because, oh wait, hold on a second. This is a developing story, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so he was nominated. He didn't win. He was nominated for 7% Solution for an Oscar. But I don't see, he wasn't nominated for The Day After.
Really? That's fascinating. Because I feel like that was a very important movie for when it came out. And people really, I hear it get mentioned a lot.
Let me see here. Whoops. Fucking IMDb. IMDb, if you're listening to this, fix your fucking website.
Yeah, I second that.
The Day After. 1983?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a TV movie. It wouldn't have been eligible.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That explains that.
Yeah. And he directed it. He didn't write it.
Oh, that was my bad, folks. I was misinformed.
Hey man, it's okay. That's why we fact check each other, you know.
Exactly. But wait, Anthony, I thought that the way podcasts work is we just say whatever we
just make shit up
or feel. Yeah, you make shit up, and then it doesn't. Who cares about facts?
Yeah, fuck facts, dude. Facts don't care about your feelings.
Oh no.
Before we move on, I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm gonna have a great time editing this episode, editing out all my coughs and hacking and just. I'm getting over being sick here, folks. Really quick before we move on, I do want to speak about one cast member in particular who has no lines whatsoever, but she is in the film, and her name is Melanie Shatner. Who do you think she's related to, Caleb?
I'm gonna say DeForest Kelley or maybe James Doohan.
Melanie Shatner, William Shatner's daughter, is in this film. She's not in the credits that we read out at the beginning. Did you notice her, Caleb?
No, I didn't. Where was she?
She is the yeoman who is on the bridge with the really goofy ass hair. Remember the one with the really fucked up hair that sticks up?
Yeah.
She's the one that William Shatner hands his jacket to when he gets on the bridge at the first time, and then she just like stands around on the bridge with his jacket for like the entire scene. So she's William Shatner's daughter, and she's in the film. I don't think she has any lines, and there are multiple scenes. And once you know that she's William Shatner's daughter, you'll notice that there are multiple scenes where she happens to like just be kind of like around people who are important. Like multiple times where the camera cuts to somebody and she's like standing next to Scotty, or she's like off to the left of Uhura. What did you think about Melanie Shatner's performance? And this wonderful case of nepotism.
I mean, I didn't notice it, unfortunately.
Okay.
But that gives me a reason to rewatch it now. I'll be keeping an eye on her.
You gotta rewatch it. There needs to be a Star Trek: The Final Frontier Melanie Shatner cut that is just all of her scenes.
Yeah, release the Shatner cut.
Release the Shatner cut immediately. Come on, folks, let's start the hashtag.
Yeah. Yeah, now we have to pretend to hate Nicholas Meyer.
What? No, I don't hate Nicholas Meyer.
It's like the James Gunn thing.
Oh yeah. Everyone hates James Gunn now because Peacemaker season 2 episode 8 happened, and G.I. Robot wasn't in it, and that's the only reason I watch that show. So
yeah, I only watched the show in case like George Clooney Batman would show up.
Honestly, George Clooney Batman showing up is the reason why the Flash movie is the greatest DC film of all time.
Oh, I forgot that happened.
Yeah. All right, we're moving on, Caleb.
Oh, I wanted to talk more about the Flash, but if you insist,
we'll talk about the Flash next time in our DCEU multi-part series.
Yeah, I'm not doing that shit. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you cough.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I made me cough.
But anyway, moving on, Anthony, we got a Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, directed by Nicholas Meyer, written by Nicholas Meyer and Denny Martin Finn. What kind of drugs, Denny? Story by Mark Rosenthal and Lawrence Connor, and based on Star Trek, created by Gene Roddenberry. Cinematography by Hiro Narita, edited by William Hoy and Ronald Roos. Starring William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelley, James Doohan, Walter Koenig, Nichelle Nichols, George Takei, Kim Cattrall, Mark Leonard, Grace Lee Whitney, Brock Peters, Kurtwood Smith, Christopher Plummer, Rosanna DeSoto, David Warner, Michael Dorn, Christian Slater, and Iman. And the synopsis is peace between the Federation and the Klingons possible? Well, I've watched Next Generation, so I know that it is in some capacity. So, Anthony, there's a lot to be said about Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. We get the return of Nicholas Meyer. This is the last film for the OG cast. How do you feel about this film?
I think this film is fucking brilliant. It's amazing. I really enjoy this movie a lot. It's my second favorite film after Wrath of Khan. And yeah, I just think it's great. Like I think that the drama is fantastic. Especially with Kirk, dealing with like the death of his son and kind of putting aside his prejudices of the Klingons, for the greater good, right? The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And we get some excellent fucking action scenes. I think, like an absolute iconic battle scene in Wrath of Khan is at the end when they're fighting each other back and forth. And I would say that like the final battle here, where you have the Enterprise and the Excelsior and they're both going after the bird of prey, like that's fucking awesome. Like it is just like wonderfully directed, wonderfully edited, just on the edge of your seat. I really like this movie. I think this movie's fucking great. I love the intrigue. I love the drama. And it's the perfect ending to the TOS era. Caleb, what the hell do you think about this movie?
So, it's funny. Whenever we went into this, I think I told you this maybe on the podcast or off the podcast, is that when I watched these all for the first time a few years ago during the pandemic, I remember thinking that like Undiscovered Country was my favorite Star Trek movie. And rewatching this, I'm just like, yeah, it still is. I love this movie. I think it's brilliant. Mm-hmm. It's not without its weird behind the scenes stuff and its issues, small issues like in the film itself. But I think the decision to take the directing reins away from William Shatner, prying them from his old fingers and giving them back to Nicholas Meyer, who's the best Star Trek film director, and just like letting him tell this having him do like this end of the Cold War allegory, with like the Klingons and the Federation was really smart, and it leads to some really great performances. Like Christopher Plummer has like one of my favorite villainous performances, and like you could make the argument that it's way too obvious that he's like the person who's behind, at least partially behind everything.
Sure.
But even though that is obvious, you still get the really good twists with the other people involved, because it's not just Klingons, it's like other people as well. And it's great. It's such a good movie. It's like a perfect Star Trek movie. Like the political intrigue is one of the best things about like Star Trek. Like, do you remember the conspiracy episode of Next Generation where like the Federation was under the control of like weird little aliens that were like crawling in their butts? Like it's great. And this is just, and I love the Klingons. I'm always happy when they show up. And just having, and they've been so present in the TOS films, and I think using it as a way to bridge the gap between TOS and Next Generation,
mm-hmm.
where in Next Generation you have Worf, who is in Starfleet and he is a Klingon, and things are a little, and the Federation's relationships with the Klingon are very different, and it's progressed a lot. And and it's one of those things where I think it's like it just, there's lots of great dialogue, there's tons of like great, you know, references to Shakespeare. There's also just like, you get a lot of ideas, like just the different characters, like feelings and beliefs,
mm-hmm.
and their ideals. Like again, like you were mentioning with Kirk having to like really like go against his prejudices because of the death of his son at the hands of Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Plummer.
Oh no, because Christopher Lloyd killed his son in 3.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I'm sorry. You said okay.
You're good. These Christophers.
There's too many Chris. There's too many Chris's.
Yeah, and you know, it's just it is a wonderful actual finale, and it's a movie that'll always make you go, man, I really wish that they did a little bit more with the characters who aren't Kirk, Bones, and Spock, but I like Kirk, Bones, and Spock, so I can't complain too much. And this movie even like makes fun of William Shatner and Kirk, because there's that great scene where Amon's character turns into, because she's a shapeshifter,
mm-hmm.
and she turns into William Shatner, and they had kissed in an earlier scene, and he goes, oh, isn't that your lifelong ambition to kiss yourself, or something like that? And it's like, I can't believe William Shatner let them do that, let alone had himself say that, but I'm glad they did.
Yeah, and there's another really great joke. It's one of my favorite moments in any Star Trek film, where the movie is very aware of itself, where mm-hmm. it's the first line that Shatner says when he walks onto frame, where he walks into frame, is he's just like, what are we even doing here? And then Bones comes up Bones comes up behind him, and he's like, maybe they're throwing us a retirement party. And it's like, they're acknowledging how ridiculous it is that these people are so old and they're still in these films. And I love just how clever that is, you know, that it's kind of just poking fun at how ridiculous it is. But then you get this amazing film where it's like a fantastic send-off to these characters. And I think that it really just ties everything up at the end. Now, you did mention earlier that, you know, it is still very much the Kirk, Bones, and Spock show. But I do feel like that Uhura and I do feel like Sulu do get a little bit to do here. I mean, Uhura's pretty important, you know, in the operation of the ship, and you
mm-hmm.
know, especially in the last part. And then, I mean, Sulu basically saves their asses at the end, you know, comes in with the Excelsior.
Yeah, and I also think like having Sulu become captain, that makes sense, because you don't have to have him on set at the same time as William Shatner.
Yeah, he can be on another soundstage across the lot.
Yeah.
You keep him far away.
Yeah, it's so funny that out of all the original cast members who are still alive, that the two who hate each other the most are two of the ones who are still around at the time of recording.
At the time, yeah, not knock on wood. Yeah, and I love that Sulu is the captain of the Excelsior, and the Excelsior is a ship that we've seen before. We saw it very briefly, I believe, in Search for Spock, right? Was that the one we saw it in?
That sounds right.
Yeah. What do you think about the Excelsior? Because the first time I saw it, I thought it was dumb. It's kind of grown on me. I kind of like the Excelsior now.
I don't mind it. Like, I remember like looking at it, and I was kind of like, this really is becoming red letter media. But I was looking at it, and I was like, you know, I don't like it as much as the Enterprise, obviously.
Well, no, I mean the
But
Enterprise is the coolest ship ever, but
yeah, but like it's it's a little like smaller, like the way it looks like it's a very smaller model.
mm-hmm.
But like I don't love it, but I also don't like dislike it. Like when I saw it on screen, I wasn't like, oh, that's a really ugly looking ship, or anything like that. But yeah, like I thought it was okay. Again, it's I'm glad that they gave Sulu his own ship. I think that was a really smart thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And on Sulu's ship is Grace Lee Whitney.
Yes,
playing Rand again. Janice Rand is back. I know for some reason on IMDb it just has her listed as like Excelsior pilot or whatever.
Yeah, it does.
But here's the thing, right? And I mentioned this briefly to you before we started recording. Is I bought the novelization of Undiscovered Country, and
yes.
I've been reading it. I'm not finished yet. I'm about 100 pages in. But in the novelization, it very much is this is Janice Rand. Like this is the character. For some reason they don't say that in the credits. I don't know why, but no, it's Janice Rand, and I think it's cool because as a Rand fan myself, someone who is a Rand truther, I think it's
Christ.
What?
It sounds like you're talking about Ayn Rand.
No, I'm not talking about Ayn Rand.
I know, but that's what it sounds like.
There's only one Rand I recognize, and it's Janice Rand. Fuck Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand was never in a Star Trek. She'd hate Star Trek anyways because it's socialist, and she was anyways. No, Janice Rand, who I absolutely love from the TOS series because of that goofy ass hairdo she had, which was fantastic. Yeah. And I love that she's popped up like a handful of times in the TOS films. I think that's really fun. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I do too, because I know that she's in... is she in the motion picture for like a second? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yes, she is. She is the one who is present when the horrendous transporter accident happens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And speaking of Star Trek actors who get cameos, and I did not notice this the first time I watched this because it was before I watched TNG, but in this scene where because Kirk and Bones are accused of killing the Klingon like prime minister, and so that they're on trial, and the person representing them on trial is Michael Dorn, who plays Worf in Next Generation and in those movies and in Deep Space Nine. And the thing is, apparently it is canonical that he's playing like Worf's grandfather.
Yes, yeah, he is playing Worf's grandpa in this in this film, which I think is really fun.
Yeah, I do too. Like, and it's great because it's one of those where like, because I was like, I wonder if I'm going to miss it when he shows up, and like, you can't miss him. Like, Michael Dorn's voice is so iconic that when you hear it, you're like, nope, that's him.
There he is. It's Michael Dorn. And I'm pretty sure he's the only actor from TNG who also appeared in like a TOS film. I don't think any of the other TNG.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Generations doesn't count, and we'll talk about that next time. But Generations is not a TOS film; it's a TNG film that has some TOS people in it. Whatever. But yeah, I think Michael Dorn is the only actor from the TNG era who was in the TOS films.
Yeah, well. The original, do you know what the original ending for this movie was before? I think Nicholas Meyer might have fixed it, or somebody fixed it. But the original ending was going to be Kirk handing the Enterprise over to Picard.
That doesn't make any sense, though.
No, exactly. Picard got the Enterprise.
Picard is a baby.
Yeah,
Picard would. I don't even think Picard's alive yet in this.
No, he's not, because it's like 90 years later.
Yeah, that's so dumb. Yeah, these people. Anyways.
Yeah.
I'm happy that did not happen.
Yeah.
So anyways, so they're on this prison planet, and they meet this character played by Iman, who's a shapeshifter. Do you know who Iman is, Caleb?
Yes, I do. She's a famous Somali model and actress, and she's also was married to David Bowie for the last 26 years of his life.
She was, yeah. She and David Bowie were married up until his passing. And I think it's really cool that there's a David Bowie connection here.
Yeah, talk about someone who probably should have been in Star Trek at some point.
I know, right? Yeah, David Bowie should have been in Star Trek. That would have been fucking cool as shit. He wasn't. He was in Twin Peaks Firewalk with me, which is almost as cool.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, but so cool. We have a David Bowie connection, and then of course we get to the end where they're doing the peace conference, and Kirk and company have to come in and save the day, and what an exciting climax, really. Yeah,
there's it has one of my favorite shots in the entire franchise, and it just goes hard as hell, where there's a moment where after they've saved the day that Scotty is just like walking through a crowd of people with this super stern look on his face holding his phaser, and it just looks really funny because it's James Doohan. And I just like look at him. He's a terrific guy to look at.
He is a great guy to look at, and he looks like a very friendly guy as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
by all accounts, he's like he's one of the actors I've heard. He was very nice. Very nice guy to run into.
Yeah, and I remember seeing a documentary years ago called Trekkies, and they interviewed him in that documentary, and he seemed, I think he like took time to respond like personally to like fan letters and stuff. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, so he's a good guy, absolutely.
Yeah, and like I think that the whole ending where like you get that kind of like conclude, because it's also like one of those things where you get like, I think that the idea that the crew of the Enterprise, the original crew, well, not the original crew because that's in Star Trek Enterprise with Scott Bakula, but the from the original series, like having their final adventure be like helping to ensure peace between the Federation and the Klingons, that's great.
Yeah,
like what a great final adventure. And it's like, it's great, and then you get that really wonderful ending where it's like, oh, they got to turn the ship back in, and then you get Spock, and you always got to be careful whenever you have like a kind of like more stoic-y character like Spock do something like this. But he has a line where, and he's not doing this in like all the films, but you give him the line where they're like, oh, we got to turn the ship back into the dock and give it up, and Spock just says, if I what does he say? Where he's like, if I were emotional, I would tell them to go to hell, Captain, or something like that. And it's so great, and like the way Leonard Nimoy delivers it is perfect. And it's just like it's this wonderful ending, and then they just kind of fly off, and it's like, oh, that's it. And then it made me a little emotional watching it this time.
Yeah.
I was like, it's really nice. It's just a really wonderful send off, because they've been doing they've been playing these characters on and off for like 18 years at this point. And it was also nice because at the end you get all of their the main cast's like autographs at the end. So if you've ever watched Avengers Endgame, and based on how much money it made, if you're listening to this, you have in the credits, the final six of the six original Avengers, they all have they all sign their names like with their signatures. It's because of this movie. That's directly where they got it from. That's what the Russo brothers have literally said that. So
yeah, those fucking hacks.
Yeah, but next week we're going to talk about the electric state.
No, God, no. Fuck, no. Jesus Christ, please, no.
But, yeah, no, I think that this is just, it's a great setup. And then also, like, when they have Shatner at the end reading, where he's doing the, to boldly go where no one has gone before, because they changed the intro. So in the original series, it's where no man has gone before, and with Next Generation, it's where no one has gone before.
Right.
Because it's woke, and it's like
Star Trek is woke now.
Yeah, I can't believe this. I'm hearing this now for the first time, and it's and having that like kind of like verbal connection, like where it's like it's really cool how this is like connecting to TNG, not with like in an annoying way where it's like, look, here's like baby Picard and baby Deanna Troi, and like baby Data, like he's a little microchip. That Noonien Sung is making. He's like, his name is gonna.
He's a little thumb drive or something.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like you don't get any like dumb bullshit like that. It's like you get the cute Michael Dorn cameo that's like really cool, and then you have like the thematic way to connect it. It's like that's how you fucking connect things. That's how you make a prequel to something. By the way, it's not just by being like, look, here's all the characters as babies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it was. I mean, it overall fantastic fucking movie. I love this movie. I can't wait to watch it again. Looking at the cast list, we did kind of skip over someone, and she's quite important to the plot. and that is Kim Cattrall as Valeris. What do you think about Valeris, her character, and kind of like her heel turn and where she ends up at the end of the film?
That was so smart because like it doesn't like, you can kind of feel like there's something off with her, and then whenever it happens, you're like, oh my god, this whole conspiracy to stop it from being peace is deeper than you think it is, and it's great. But then also like she has this great line where she's like, you can't prove it was me that did anything. And it's like, and then Spock has to like he like mind melds with her to force the information out.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so great because like, it's just this, like, just the way she like, where she doesn't suddenly start like twirling a mustache going, you see, Captain, I was evil all along. But she's just like this very, like, she just has this like, and on the side note, I want to clarify, I'm not saying that she has a point. She doesn't. They were wrong for wanting there to not be peace. Peace is a good thing. And it's this thing of where like you just see that she's just like this period where she's like, no, I'm gonna work with them because we need like war is good, conflict is good. That's what we need to do. Like, we shouldn't have peace with the Klingons. That's ridiculous, And like there's that way that she kind of like hand waves it, and it just is like, yeah, you can't prove I did this, and I'm just gonna go back to like my regular job and everything. It's like it's uncomfortable, and because it feels real.
Yeah, it does feel real that there would be like people who are pushing war for their own personal gain, that is something.
Is Star Trek political?
Is Star Trek political? Maybe a little bit. So I did want to bring up another thing, because going back to the novelization. So in the novelization of Star Trek Undiscovered Country, and I haven't finished it yet, I'm only 100 pages in, but in the novel, it kind of hints at the idea that Valeris has a crush on Spock. Oh my. Yeah. Did you get that at all in the film? Did you get the idea that Valeris has a crush on Spock?
Not really. Did you think that?
No. But I guess it's safe to assume that everybody has a crush on Spock. He's just one of those guys. Kirk. Especially Kirk. Well, I mean, Kirk and Spock are lovers. So
like especially in Star Trek 5.
Yeah, especially in Star Trek 5. And there's another aspect of the book that is not mentioned anywhere in the movie, and that is that before the events of the film happen, Carol Marcus, who of course is Kirk's former lover, the mother of his child, Carol Marcus was severely injured in a Klingon attack on a Federation outpost, and that ends up being very important in Kirk's not wanting to have peace with the Klingons. What do you think about that kind of plot point? And do you think that not including it in the film was a good idea, or do you think that it should have been included to give more of a backstory?
I think that would have fit pretty well. Like, if you could find the natural way to include that, I think that could have been interesting. It could have even been interesting as like the opening of the movie, even where like they're getting this information afterwards, so it's not just like, so we like see it, so it's not just something like we're told,
right?
But yeah, I think that could have been really interesting if they wanted to add that, like add like 5-10 minutes to the movie,
which I wouldn't have been against. I mean, this was a pretty short film. I think about an hour and 50 minutes. Yeah, and that's a cool thing about the Star Trek movies is that, with the exception of the first one, they're all less than 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't do any of them go over 2 hours. Like I don't even know if like I mean, I'm sure I bet Star Trek Into Darkness is like 2 hours and 20 minutes long.
Maybe, yeah, and maybe the TNG films. I'm not sure. We'll find out next time. So
yeah, but yeah, like I do like that because, like, and again, I love long movies, but like I think that like with these films particularly, you don't want to like, you don't see a lot of 3-part Star Trek episodes. Is all I'm saying.
Except for, I think, season 2 of DS9, I think, starts with like 3 episodes in a row that are all kind of connected. Oh, and it's fantastic, by the way. Nice. Yeah, and you started watching DS9 again recently, right?
Yes. Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, which is most of you, I started watching Deep Space Nine about 4 years ago, and I watched about 10-ish episodes maybe. And then I decided, since we've been doing this, I decided to go back and actually watch it properly. And I watched the first 4 episodes, and I'm really digging it. I like my friends on Deep Space Nine.
You like your friends on Deep Space Nine?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. I'm halfway through season 3 right now, and yeah, DS9 is great. First season is pretty good, and it just keeps getting better and better. So
Yeah. And then Voyager starts during season 3, right?
yes, halfway through season 3, Voyager starts. Yeah.
Nice. There's an actor who's on Voyager, and I want to ask you if you know he's in it, but I think it'd be funnier if I didn't mention it and just waited until you got there.
Okay, I mean, there's a couple of big cameos that I already know about just because of like memes.
Mm-hmm.
So like I know about Iggy Pop, and I know that The Rock is in eventually.
It was The Rock, yeah.
I'm sorry, Caleb, I already know.
That's damn. Well, I'll have to find somebody else who was in it. Anyway,
maybe David Bowie was in it. We don't know.
Yeah, that'd be cool as hell. So one thing I wanted to talk about was there's a couple interesting elements that were going to be added in this film that had to be changed because they were going to keep a more racist element of like racial tensions between Klingons and like humans.
Okay.
So they cut out some lines where Scotty was gonna say like, "Oh, would you let your daughter marry a Klingon?"
Oh, jeez.
Just stuff where it's like, what the fuck? Just really insane stuff like that. There's a line in this film where Chekhov, when they invite the Klingon ambassadors over for dinner, that Chekhov says, "Oh, look who's coming to dinner," or "Guess who's coming to dinner?"
Yeah.
And that line was written for Uhura in the original script, and she said, "I'm not fucking reading that."
Mm-hmm.
Because for anyone who doesn't know, there was a film called that that is about a white woman bringing a black man home to her white family, who she's in a relationship with, and it was remade with Ashton Kutcher and Zoe Saldana in the 2000s.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, which is one of those films that was very important when it came out, and looking back at it now, it's aged a little bit, but Katharine Hepburn's in it. Sidney Poitier plays the boyfriend who's coming over, and I have actually never seen the film. I've only ever heard of it, and I know that they referenced it in here. But that's interesting that they gave that line to Nichelle Nichols, and she was like, "Hell no, I'm not reading that." Did she? I mean, I can kind of guess why, but did she say why, or
Yeah, it was because she felt like because she's black, she didn't want to be the person to make that joke because she thought it was weird to give that to her.
Yeah, that is a little weird. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and speaking of stuff, so Gene Roddenberry, he passed away the year this film came out.
Mm-hmm.
And because this film came out in December and he passed away in like October, I want to say, maybe, or like maybe a little bit sooner. But so he saw this film.
Oh, he did.
He saw a cut of this film, and he didn't like it. He didn't like how the Klingons were portrayed. He thought they were generic and evil, and then he died 2 days later.
Gene Roddenberry had some opinions that that I agreed with. Creative opinions. I'm not talking about political opinions. Like I agree with him politically. But I would disagree with this. I would disagree with Sir, Mr. Gene. No, I mean, we haven't gotten too much into it, and I kind of don't want to because I feel like it's not really important. But there were some creative decisions that Gene made, especially later on in life, that were questionable at best. And whenever people talk about how like the first 2 seasons of The Next Generation are pretty bad, a lot of that is because of him.
Yeah.
And the creative decisions he made. So yeah, I mean, listen, Gene, you made some of the best science fiction of all time, and other people came and were able to build on it and improve it in ways. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think about his opinion? I mean,
I fully disagree with him. I'm in the same boat as you, where I think he was kind of a strange man creatively later in his life in a lot of ways. Like, I still think he's a very like important figure in science fiction, and he's very smart, and I think he was very optimistic about the future, which is like cool, because I know that Jonathan Frakes, who we'll talk about next week, or next episode whenever that comes out, is Jonathan Frakes said that Gene Roddenberry just went up to him one time and just put his arm around him and said, John, one day, everyone's going to get along, and we're not going to have to, there's going to be no money, and we're all going to be in space, and we're going to be happy. Or some, I'm not directly quoting most of that, but it's, and I'm like, he seemed to really care about like people and things a lot, and I think that's really cool, and that's why, Star Trek is an extremely political show. It didn't always. It was always well-meaning, but it didn't always know what to say perfectly, especially when it comes to race at times, I feel. But is the thing with him ultimately is I think he was just a dude who had a vision of like that the future could be better, and I think that's really fucking cool. But ultimately, I think he was wrong about the Klingons. That they were very complex and good in this movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I think the Klingons are probably like some of my favorite in this film for sure.
Yeah,
and I mean like there's some really good Klingon stuff in TNG, and then obviously DS9. But yeah, I mean I think this movie was great, and it's too bad that he didn't like it. So.
Yeah, and then but it's also just the fact that he like watched it and like immediately died like right after. It's like that has like it's just that feels so weird. I think that's the reason I brought it up. It's not even just that he didn't like it; it was that like he watched it, didn't like it, and then died 2 days later. Which I'm not saying the film killed him. That's not what I'm implying at all. That would be insane. But I'm just saying like it's such a strange thing to think about.
And then they dedicated the film to him. They're like, "This is for Gene, everybody. We killed him."
Yeah. And I believe that the Spock 2-parter on Next Generation that came out around the same time, and that was also dedicated to him, I remember.
Yes, the Spock 2-parter, which I'm forgetting the name of now.
It's super good.
It's fantastic. It's one of the best 2-parters in TNG. I would say it's even better than Best of Both Worlds. But anyway.
Oh my god.
We'll get more into my opinions on the Borg later.
Oh no. I have some fucking fascinating Borg stuff to talk about next week. I've got some Borg facts.
Borg facts?
Yeah, that I'm ready to bring up next week. I've been waiting to talk about some of this stuff in this series. So yeah, I'm excited to get into all that, because I'm curious to see what your opinion is about the Borg. We've never discussed them together.
Yeah, we haven't really, huh? It's neither it's neither super negatives nor super positive. I think we'll get into it, but yeah, we'll talk more about the Borg next time.
Yeah, but so that's it. Is like we this is part 3. We finished up the Star Trek films with the original cast. I think we had four good movies and 2 bad. Well, I wouldn't even say 2 bad movies. We had 4 good movies, 1 whatever movie, and then 1 bad movie. That's not a bad track record so far.
No, not at all. Caleb, do you mind if I ask you, if you had to do a quick ranking off the top of your head, how would you rank the TOS films?
Okay. So from best to worst, I would say Undiscovered Country, Wrath of Khan, The Motion Picture, The Voyage Home, Search for Spock, and then Final Frontier.
I would do Wrath of Khan, Undiscovered Country, Voyage Home, The Motion Picture, and those are the 4 that I really like and I think are really great, and then Search for Spock, and the other one, the one we just talked about.
Frontier.
Final Frontier,
yeah.
Yes. Which, by the way, one of the worst fucking titles. I hate the Final Frontier. It is so uninspired and so boring, and I forget it every time I think about it.
Yeah, it's. Do you think it's the worst title to a Star Trek movie?
I don't. Well, because like the last 2 TNG films have kind of nothing titles.
Oh yeah, Insurrection and Nemesis.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, what's the next one going to be? Retribution? Fucking.
Oh God, Bloodlines.
Yeah, just like all the generic subtitles. Anyways, so that's it, Caleb. We've done it. We've watched all the TOS films, and now we're moving on into the next generation.
Wow.
What are you looking forward to the most in the next generation, Caleb?
You know, I love the Next Generation. It's one of the best TV shows ever. One of the best sci-fi shows. Some of my favorite characters ever put to the screen. You know, my good pals Picard, Data, Worf, Beverly Crusher, and the rest of the gang. And like I think there's some complex characters who like grow and change. They have like unique perspectives. They challenge one another. Some of them like fall in love. Some of them have issues with one another. And I'm really excited to watch 4 feature films where it's really only Picard and Data who get to do anything. So yay! Like that tradition continues where you have this really great cast and then only 2 people get to ever do anything. And poor Michael Dorn is in fucking prosthetics. Can you please give him something to do? Let him do things. Like it's. I don't get me wrong. I actually like a couple of these movies. That's fine. But I am very critical of them. I prefer the show to the films for sure.
Right.
And but it is cool because there's some cool actors who pop up in these that I think are fun. So
we're gonna get to talk about Malcolm McDowell next time.
Oh my God, you're right. And we just saw him perform in concert last week.
People are gonna be so confused by that statement. They're not gonna know what that means.
Exactly.
It's funny that the first time we've talked about Malcolm McDowell on this podcast will not be for Clockwork Orange, but it's going to be for fucking Star Trek Generations.
Oh yeah, his best role.
The one he's most known for.
Yeah, it's up there with the when he narrated that Republican hit piece on Bernie Sanders' film, where they have like Bernie Sanders give a blood oath to Lenin or whatever.
Bernie Sanders gave a blood oath to Vladimir Lenin.
Yeah, in this like film that's like
he's
it's like
so
a fake...
fucking cool. Oh my God.
Yeah, because it's like, do you know what movie I'm talking about at all?
I actually don't. I actually don't know what movie you're talking about. But
yeah,
my God, why do Republicans have to make Democratic politicians sound so fucking cool? They're just like they're like these Marxist Leninists, and then it's just like a guy who thinks that we all deserve healthcare.
Yeah, do they still say cultural Marxist, or is that like a 2014 thing still?
They're on to some other nonsense now. Now it's like woke Antifa, you know.
Oh yeah, of course.
The woke Antifa super soldiers are taking over Portland. So.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, we'll talk more about Malcolm McDowell next week and more Star Trek. Please join us. Please join us, everybody.
Yeah. Resistance is futile, huh?
Oh, this is a good one. I like that. Yeah, good one. All right. All right. We'll talk to you. We'll see y'all next time, folks. My name is Anthony.
My name's Caleb.
And live long and prosper. Good night. Thank you very much for listening to another episode of Viva Film. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe and give us a rating. Shout out to Tommy Red Flemming for designing our logo. And please join us again next week on Viva Film.